Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LTG show, episode 219. My name is Sean Wilburn.
I'm Tony Hannity.
Let's try this again. My name is Sean Wilburn.
I'm Radford Castro.
And I'm Tony Hannity.
There we go. We got Radford Castro and Tony Hannity's, everybody. Woo! How you doing? We are just.
I think they heard us fine. I heard you guys fine.
It was like you guys.
Okay, how about we just do this differently? We say it all at the same time.
I was gonna say, how can we step over our toes? This is how bad we want to talk to you about technology. This is how important this information is that we have today. Actually, that'd be a great delay there, Tony. Anyway, this is how important the information. We are just jumping all over each other to talk to you about what we have, and it's some good information. Windows, Apple, Google, all these different topics. Quite a bit of stuff. But before we get down dirty and start talking about all the tech information we're going to talk about, let's first talk about LazyTechGuys.com. It's a great website. We want you to go ahead and visit it, LazyTechGuys.com. We have a lot of good information there, including news, reviews, tech information, video games, and more. We also have contact information. Email it, comments at LazyTechGuys.com, or you can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. Now, this is a live show that we like to do on the Google Hangouts late night on Tuesday nights at about 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We're starting a little late on this show, but regardless of that, we always encourage people to come and join us and join in a Q&A that we have open at all times, and throw us a question. We will go ahead and address it and talk to you guys live about it. So, all right, but now that we have that out of the way, Tony, how are you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's fresh after a nice little trip from NAMM. Got a chance to hang out and listen to a lot of rock music, and I didn't lose my hearing in my voice this year, so I did pretty good.
Now, just to be clear, it's not Vietnam. it's the national. What is it again? What's the acronym?
I thought it. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. A National Association of Music Merchandisers, I believe, or something like that. Essentially, it's a music instrument retail trade show. It's where they show off a lot of new gear and new stuff. Like, Tony, you sent me a thing from MXL Microphones, which is like a thing that allows you to hold your phone and gives you a shotgun mic and things like that.
And you got me one, right?
Yeah, that's when products like that are announced and talked about. It's not shipping. They didn't even have a price tag. Just saying.
I'm sad.
Hey, it's a new product, but they announced new products.
It came out last year.
They didn't even anyway.
Yeah,
anyway,
we'll
but it's a great convention. I had a lot of fun there. But besides that, everything's back to normal, back to music, and I even picked up a different video game. I finally put down NCAA 14, finally.
Oh, wow!
And I decided to pick up a classic game from years ago, Final Fantasy 7, just for the hell of it. So I decided to go ahead and pick it up and just start playing through it all, and it's actually having a blast. So now, Tony, everything going good?
Yeah, things are good. We've got Rad back in the saddle, so to speak. How you been, man?
There you are.
My mic is on, right?
There, I can hear you now. What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, your mic is on, your video's not, so I'm going to change it to profile video or something. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rad, how you been, man? It's been a couple weeks. How you been? How's everything going?
Just, hammering away, man. Just working at things and putting stuff around, tearing things apart. Hopefully things work. But yeah, just coding and stuff, programming. But yeah, stuff is good.
Cool. Well, I'm sure you being a big coder, you being a big person into code, and Tony, you being into mobile as much as you are, that the fact that Microsoft's big announcements and big discussions about what they're going to do with Windows 10 probably got both of you guys all excited, didn't it?
Who wouldn't?
I know.
Yeah, I was definitely very excited about that.
Now the best thing about this is price, and I love price. So Tony, why don't you get us started? Let's talk about Windows 10 and what kind of how much is going to set us back.
Yeah, so a lot of people were wondering how is Microsoft planning on pricing out Windows 10 for consumers, especially because a lot of people that upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 8 weren't so happy with it, and would they feel kind of screwed over if they had to put out more money, even as low as $15 for an upgrade, but they want to get all that stuff out of the way. And last week during the press conference, I believe it was Terry Myerson said that they would be making the upgrade to Windows 10 absolutely free for Windows 8, 8.1 users, as well as Windows 7 users, and this would be a free upgrade for a year.
Wow.
And as long as you've upgraded within that 365 time frame, 365 day time frame, all updates after that would also be free. Because when people were parsing that line, people said, "Oh, it's only free for a year, and then you'll have to pay every year after that to get all the updates for free." That is not the case. As long as you do the upgrade on all of your applicable systems, they will continue to be free. What it means is that if you upgrade to Windows 10 on the 366th day, it will cost you something to upgrade or install the OS. So
I see.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing is also they were calling Windows 10 a service, and that was also another reason why people thought, oh, it's a service, kind of like how Office 365 is a service, hence the subscription model. Again, it's not a subscription, but they did continue calling it a service, and that's why they were making this upgrade free for those users. This is not free for enterprise. That's where the money is, enterprise and cloud. So if you are in the cloud with your big business, don't expect to just be able to upgrade everything for free later on this year. It'll still cost something depending on the agreements that you make with your Microsoft buyer and whoever does all those deals for you. But this upgrade will also be free for Windows Phone 8.1 devices as well, and also Xbox. So the thing is that from this point on, when we're talking Windows 10, Microsoft really wants to point out that this will be applicable to phones, tablets, PCs, desktops, the Xbox. I mean, pretty much everything. The Internet of Things. It's all going to be built off of this one core. So, and we're going to talk about. Well, we're not really going to talk about Windows Phone because they didn't really dive into Windows Phone too much. But the thing is, they didn't even say Windows Phone. They just kept calling it Windows 10 for phone, or Windows 10 for mobile. So, yeah, that's kind of where that's going. But this is great, and Rad, I can tell by your agreement with what I'm saying. And Sean, you mentioned earlier you're down with zero price. This is something that is going to definitely put Microsoft back into the good graces of people, as long as there's not like a major bug that doesn't get fixed for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So now, I remember when they started talking about Windows 10 initially, they were mainly talking about consumer features and all that. I mean, they mentioned a couple enterprise things, but they haven't gotten too much in consumer. Now they're talking about Cortana. Is that like the first major consumer-ish thing, or is that just I'm just kind of curious on where they're going with this, and are they going to announce are they got a lot more consumer features they're announcing here? What do we have happening here?
Yeah, so from what Terry Myerson said, at least at this event, that the things that they were announcing at the event were going to be rolled out in future developments of the technical/consumer preview. So the preview that's available now doesn't have everything, but I would assume, and I know what people say about assumption, but I would assume that this is just really the first step to being more consumer friendly. I don't think they really mentioned Cortana at the first Windows 10 event last year, but for those who don't know, Microsoft's Cortana, which is that virtual assistant, is going to be embedded within Windows 10. And Joe Belfiore had a very candid conversation with Cortana, which almost seemed uberly scripted, but the way that Cortana is now is a lot more user-friendly and more conversational than the likes of Siri or even Google Now. So, like, Joe was telling Cortana, hey, so what's on my agenda for today? And the language that he was using, and Rad, I know you've said this before, like, this machine learning of, like, virtual assistant, you can't always say a very colloquial phrase. Sometimes you have to use certain phrases, but what Microsoft was trying to point out was you don't necessarily have to do that so much anymore with the new version of Cortana. So you would be able to talk to your PC. They also pointed out that because Cortana would be scanning like your calendar and your email with your permission, like you have a Cortana notebook, which you specify what you allow Cortana to look into, which is their kind of fight against privacy. Now, if you look at Google, Google just looks at everything. They don't even give you a chance to opt out. Microsoft lets you opt out and opt in. So if you let them go into your email and you type in the word Delta, it's like, oh, you're probably looking up this Delta flight. Here's the information on that particular Delta flight. So that would populate within Cortana. Cortana has an integrated search bar in the taskbar on the desktop, so you don't have to click into too many different folders or anything. It's always going to be there. And then also Cortana is built into their Project Spartan browser. And we're skipping. I'm skipping ahead a little bit with that, but yeah, I don't really talk to my computer as much as I thought I would, because I downloaded the feature with Google Chrome to be able to speak to Google Chrome, and it was cool. I thought, oh, that's pretty awesome. But I stopped using it. The one feature that I really liked with Cortana was that it gets a little bit more collaborative in the sense that you can say things like, hey, Cortana, can you pull up that PowerPoint presentation that we shared on the conference call last week?
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. You could say things like that, whereas with Google Chrome, you would have to say things like, okay, Google,
steps,
yeah, okay, Google, open up Google Google presentation, the first, like you'd have to say specific things, and it's not as natural, you know. So that's cool. And like I was mentioning in Project Spartan with their browser, it's also integrated into that. So kind of similar to with certain browsers right now, you can type in the word weather and it automatically knows that you want the weather of your local area, and it automatically will go to that web page. But in Project Spartan, you can just type in the word weather, and within the search bar, there'll be a little pop-down menu that automatically gives you the weather of, Rohnert Park or Vallejo or American Canyon or wherever. Now everyone knows where we live. But
great. Oh man, I'm gonna have to move now.
All of Rohnert Park. Yeah, but the other thing that they announced with Project Spartan was the ability to annotate live. So
that's nice.
Yeah, you know what? This is something that I would use.
A couple of businesses actually.
Oh yeah, that's true. And it's something that I've been using with my Surface Pro 3 with the pen, because it comes with the pen, and using it on a touchscreen device, that it just makes it that much easier. But they for those who don't know, annotating allows you to write notes in the in the margins of the website, and you can draw and put circles around things, and then you would be able to share that snapshot of whatever it is that you were drawing over. And the funny thing was, to demonstrate this feature, they actually pulled an article from The Verge which had some leaked information about the Windows 10 browser, titled Windows 10's new browser will have the most advanced features ever. And Joe Belfiore was saying when we saw this article, we were like, oh my God, how did they find out? But at the same time, it's kind of cool that people are excited about it, So they're showing off that you can not only draw, but you can also type in little notes and things like that. So again, they didn't go too much into it. It is it's based off of it's based on a fork of Microsoft's Trident rendering engine, which is also found in Internet Explorer. So the question is this going to completely take over Internet Explorer, or will you have Internet Explorer as well as the Spartan browser? Will the Spartan browser
kill IE?
Kill it.
Yeah, I mean, just like Windows 8 has like a bad kind of connotation to it, so does Internet Explorer.
Yeah, so they switched they went straight to 10, right? I mean, they literally probably got into the room and had 12 of them decide, we can't do 9, we need to do 10. And the same thing would probably be, I mean, Cortana is also a pure example, right, where they're like, it's going to be codename Cortana, forget it, just drop the codename, it's Cortana.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's probably to Microsoft's benefit. Even if IE was like the best thing since sliced bread, there's gonna be a lot of these stigma from people who've used Internet Explorer since 6 and 7, and they're gonna say, Internet Explorer sucks and it's always gonna suck no matter what. But then when you just introduce a brand new name to it and you let these tech heads, these huge tech followers, start experimenting on their own and start putting their stamp of approval on it, all of a sudden, a lot of the common folk are going to be like, well, what do you use? What do you use? What do you use? Like, and then the guys who are considered the upper echelon of technology are going to say, well, Spartan is actually a pretty good browser. So, I mean, it's easier to say than say IE, and then you're fighting against other people because, you're fighting about the identity it had before.
Right, and Spartan doesn't automatically have the Microsoft identity, bless you. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. The other thing about Spartan is that supposedly it's built to be a little bit lighter than Chrome is, as well as the fact that it will have extensions like Chrome does right now too. So again, they didn't really dive into that, which is again going to Sean's point. They're going to be divulging more about Spartan as months go on. So with that being said, let's also go on. There's a revamped start menu. There's a brand new Xbox app which pretty much looks like the same Xbox kind of portal that you have on your Xbox One. So you can see all your friends, you can see all your achievements, you can see all the games that you've installed on your Xbox One as well as the games that you've installed on your actual PC, and so you can kind of look in one place and look at all of your messages and all of your scores and all of your friends' scores. Regarding Xbox, because going back to this is all based off of the Windows 10 core. If you have an Xbox One in your house running off the same wireless LAN, you would be able to stream your Xbox One games to your PC. I'm guessing your PC is going to have some sort of minimum requirements to be able to do this, but this is still really cool because it took me a while to get a buy-in to this. But how many times, as many TVs as we might have in the household, how many times does Dad want to watch a TV show or want to watch the NBA game and the kid wants to play something? Well, now the kid can still play that game on the computer and Dad can still watch, the Warriors kick some butt, hopefully, the next game. But, that would be one reason why having the stream is a big benefit. It's not as cheap as the Sony PlayStation Vita TV is, because that's only $100 and you can stream games from your PS4 to that. But it is a step in a direction of kind of cloud gaming. It's kind of like an intranet cloud gaming.
You know what? I'll say it this way. If you were a child back in the NES, SNES days, and you were playing a video game and your parents said, we're going to use the TV, and you have to stop, save the game, pick it up, pull it from the back, unplug it, pick it up, move it halfway across your house, plug it back in, and get back to continue your game, this is a benefit to you.
Yeah, this is a huge benefit. And it doesn't end there. They've also introduced co-op abilities with certain games. So right now, I'm just using Battlefield as an example, but right now you play Battlefield on your Xbox One, it's specifically to the Xbox One and all your friends have to have an Xbox One. And similarly on the PC side, you all have to be on Steam or whatever, you all have to have a PC and you're all playing in the PC sandbox. With Windows 10, once this all gets, ironed out, you'll all be able to play in the same sandbox. So I can be on an Xbox One, Rad can be on a PC, and Sean could also be on a PC as well too. And we can all co-op and either play with each other or play against each other. But now it doesn't matter what your hardware is as long as it runs my Windows 10. So that's really cool.
So I'll do this on my phone.
You know what? With DirectX 12,
they're trying to make that happen.
Yeah, they're really trying to make it happen. They were showing off the difference between DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 on stage, and they're saying they're saying, yeah, you know what, this engine or this plugin is going to be huge. Gaming engines like Unity are going to start using it. They've already agreed to start using it, which is a really big deal because so many people use Unity in not only PC games but also mobile games. So yeah, Rad, going to your point, it's a possibility. Yeah. I don't know if you want to play Battlefield on your phone, but you could. I guess you could in the future. Yeah. And also talking about apps, they were really diving into the whole universal app. So, a developer, and Rad, this hits home for you, a developer could build an app for the PC, but with a little, few clicks of a button and formatting, that same app would be applicable to the Xbox, or it could be applicable to a phone, depending on the size.
We had a lot of debate about this. It was a lot of debate over how usable it would be, like between. So, I mean, not to delve in too much to it, but as a developer, we have all these options now. We have Android, we have iOS. iOS, when you develop for Apple, you're going to develop for a tablet or for the computer, right? The tablet can be squished down to the phone level, but it is different when you're coming from desktop or even a big screen to a desktop all the way down to mobile. I mean, like, the experiences are going to be very different. So when we build for that, it's going to be very complex. I mean, you're going to have to detect. It's not going to be as crazy as like Android, because Android has crap loads. I mean, they have crap load of resolutions.
Screen sizes.
All screen sizes, and it's like you're going to have to pick and choose your battles when you develop on it, right? But on Windows, they're trying to make it more finite. So there's like 4 types versus like 50. So that's good and bad, because there's going to be guys that want to develop for a specific niche, right? So like, I mean, you'll notice that there's still people that want to develop on Android because I want to create the next medical device, but it's going to be on Android because I'm working only on this resolution and it's going to be only for this type of niche.
Right.
But Microsoft just has a different philosophy. Apple has a different philosophy, and all of them are just like, Microsoft is like, you know what, just develop on our platform. And when you develop on our platform, you're likely to have a higher penetration between all of these different things versus these guys, which you're going to have to either do twice as amount of work.
So am I right in saying that if a developer develops using their new open source .NET, because that could arguably be used, because it's open source now, you could use that for iOS and Android? That would
no, not necessarily. No.
Oh, okay, not necessarily. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
When you're building something that's open source, you still have to make the code work somewhere else. So if you build in .NET, I mean, the only way to do it is to create like a .NET wrapper for iOS and Android, which is possible, but it's not optimal, right? You're just trying to build some engine for a different car, you know what I mean? So, I mean, for instance, in a more practical side of things, for a consumer, the main thing that they will really care about is, on my phone, will I be able to see things like Diablo on it? Will I be able to see things like the stuff I see on my PC on my phone now? Like, one of the biggest problems with Windows Phone, and I still always fight this battle at a personal level, is that the app gap is so wide. It's just way too much, right? Like, there's so many times where I've even switched to an iPhone 6 just because of the whole app issue, but it was just so expensive for me. I was like, I don't know if I want to spend this much money for a phone. And for Android, it's like, well, Android's cool, but I don't want to switch to another carrier to get this phone, you know what I mean? So, and I don't want to be on the next program. But anyway, my point is Windows 10 going to be the answer to mobile, right? Is it going to bring all the apps that we needed and then some to this community that has been begging to, develop stuff on this phone but doesn't want to spend the time to learn about it? Because that's really what comes down to. It's another learning curve to like learn and build stuff on it. But now Windows 10, which is basically all these people who've been building for like decades, now have an ability to build a mobile app in a blink of an eye. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but will it work out in the end? I don't know. It's still. Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to make that happen.
Microsoft's been on this whole kind of universal app, rampage since build of last year, and nothing's really come out from it except for like maybe 1 or 2 apps. And now with Windows 10, they were, as an example, their apps for calendar and Outlook, they're all universal apps. So they're saying, okay, we built universal apps, and here's how it looks on the phone, and here's how it looks on the tablet and PC, and these are examples of universal apps, and it's doable. So hey, Mr. or Miss Developer, you could do the same thing. Find out more at Build 2015. So I mean, I guess that's kind of like what's going to happen. Let's go ahead and move on. Hardware. I didn't put this in the notes, but they announced something that kind of came out of left field, and I'm not talking about the glasses yet. I'm talking about another Surface. And I said to a colleague of mine, if they announce another Surface, I'm going to eat my hat, because my whole thing was like, there's no reason for Microsoft at this point to announce another Surface, whether it be like a Surface 3 or Surface Pro 4 or anything like that right now, way before Windows 10 comes out. But they did announce another Surface, but it's called the Surface Hub, and this is more geared for enterprise. This is more a collaborative whiteboard that is a 55-inch or 84-inch 4K monitor / touchscreen computer. It's a full computer running Windows 10. It has cameras, got Wi-Fi, NFC, touchscreen, pen technology. It's so smart that it can kind of like Connect, that it will recognize when you start walking up to it, and because it's all over the cloud, you can collaborate with people over Skype for business. It has apps like there's you can watch Netflix on there. You could browse YouTube or whatever it is that you want to do, but it's really meant for those situations where you've been in a meeting and you've all you're watching someone do a PowerPoint presentation, and at the end of the meeting they say something like, okay, and I'll go ahead and share this presentation with you guys when I get back to my desk, and they never share it to you. Now you won't have to necessarily worry about that, because you'll all be kind of sharing that PowerPoint presentation will already be shared with you, because you're signed into this meeting with Skype for Business, or you're in the same meeting room with the person. And with collaborative devices, like if you have a Windows phone or even not a Windows phone, because you're signing into Skype for Business, or you're using some other means of connecting with the people in the room to the Skype to the Surface Hub, you'll be able to annotate and make notes on the PowerPoint presentation on your phone, and it'll show up on the actual presentation in front of everybody else. So they didn't say when it's going to be available. They didn't touch on any kind of price, but this is a direct link to what's that? I was not Perfect Pixel, Perceptive Pixel. It's a Microsoft bought them, I would say, about a year ago. They're the ones that had the huge F-off crazy 84-inch screens that Fox News used in their newsroom, if you guys remember that last year, and it just looked abnormally crazy and stupid. But these giant touchscreen computers, and this is basically the brainchild of that gentleman who, when he came over to Microsoft, to kind of tone it down a little bit and also make it a little bit more affordable. I would throw a ballpark figure out there. I would say maybe about $3,000 to $4,000 is what the 55-inch one's going to come out to. Maybe about $10,000
That's
for
really
the
competitive for something that has touch.
For some, yeah, but it's not just it's just not a touchscreen monitor. It's a freaking computer too. It's a powerful ass one.
Well, I
too.
mean, some of the high-end 4K TVs, which only have some apps, are already at that price range. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how the market will respond to something like that. But for a business user, it's automatic. I mean, especially if you're going to be doing things like sports. And often when you watch the NFL Network, you see them use a lot of replays and touchscreens where they're, and it's probably likely that they are using the product already, since they already have a deal with Microsoft with Surface. So, but I mean, for the most part, it's a home run for business. But for the consumer level, I mean, if they kept the price low enough, sure. I mean, we could probably see some penetration in the market. But other than that,
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to see them do certain stuff like that. So
Definitely. And again, we're not going to see this at your local Best Buy or Fry's probably.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the rest of y'all that aren't in like big business enterprise, you maybe never ever see this. But it's cool that they demonstrated it, and they were it was kind of a head nod to the enterprise people that were wondering how is Windows 10 going to help us in the enterprise. Well, this is how. And the last thing that they announced, which really came out of the left field, was Project HoloLens. Now, this is part of Microsoft's Project Hologram, which is an API which is built into all Windows 10. So any OEM that is going to run Windows 10 can patch into this, and they can use this with their devices if they so choose to. And as a point of reference, Microsoft created the HoloLens, which is, in essence, a wraparound kind of sunglass, looked like I don't know, like wraparound ski goggles that you can see through, so you can see all of your natural environment that are around you. But built into it is Windows 10, and it can do augmented reality. So if you think of all those movies where random holograms would just pop up, and like in Minority Report, or our favorite Iron Man, Tony Stark would just be doing this and that, like with Jarvis and things like that. But he had nothing on his glasses. But with this, with HoloLens, it is a closer possibility that we could be touching screens and interacting with 3D images that aren't actually there. And in the demo video, the lady actually created a 3D model of a quadcopter on the stage, and we actually got to see kind of through her eyes of what she's seeing as she's building this 3D model of the quadcopter, and how specific she had to be, and how it could register every little gesture that she was doing of telling the computer to paint this yellow and let's move that here. Oh, that's not exactly straight. Let's make it straight. It was mind-boggling to see that live. And again, people were like, okay, well, this is a stage demo being shown off to thousands of people worldwide. How real could this be? For the most part, everybody that actually got to take a closer look at it behind closed doors, first of all, there was no pictures. Nobody could take any pictures or cameras of the actual device itself, probably because the device that they were using was a prototype. They didn't even use the device that they were showing off on stage. The device on stage, they were saying you don't have to be tethered to a phone. There's no wires. It's all wireless. You can just walk around with it. But the one that they were using in the prototype, they were tethered to like a battery pack, and the computer was like on a belt clip and things like that. But again, it's a prototype. And in the demo, they were doing things like playing with Minecraft things and breaking open a wall, and when the wall comes apart, you see a whole Minecraft world behind it. And they also showed a demo where you're wearing the glasses and you're talking to a plumber on the other end, and the plumber can see what you're seeing. And on his phone, he can say, oh, you just need to connect this hose to that hose with that U-pipe or whatever. Like, oh, and you could, do it live. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what you need. So kind of similar to what Google was attempting with Google Glass. But for whatever reason, this seems to have kind of hit the nail on the head. Because I don't necessarily think that this is something that people would be walking around the world with, which is what Google Glass was kind of showing off. And on the counter side, it's not necessarily something that's 100% geared toward gaming, although there's a lot of augmented reality games out there. Google has their own as well too, called I want to say Inverness, but that's not Inverness. I forget what it's called. But I don't know. I just think that for their first public showing and their first attempt at this, at least publicly, they did a really good job. Now, Sean, you've kind of been not a naysayer of this kind of technology, but a Mr. Wait and See. Now, based off of what you've heard and what people have said and what you saw on the demo, how do you feel of the beginnings of this compared to the beginnings of Oculus Rift and the beginnings of Google Glass and Cardboard, things like that?
Can I just think about what I think of the product rather than talk about the beginnings of the product?
Can you do both?
Well, I mean, if I'm talking about the beginnings, I don't know. It just seems like a good idea. I mean, I saw the concept video of what they're looking to do, but I've seen a lot of concept videos, and many products do not ever produce what the concept videos do. I mean, hell, that happens in every industry out there. So the concept video is great, fantastic. I see the vision. I like the vision. I like what they're looking to do. Then you got a long ways to go. I mean, the number one way they have to deal with is just the interacting with the deal. Like, you develop the system that you have goggles and that you have a hands-on, but you're not really directly interacting with it. You're kind of single clicking, like a mouse click, what you're doing and moving things around. Well, they're working on trying to update that. They're working on trying to fix that. So as that technology improves and they improve the better interaction with people, then the technology will be fantastic. People will love it. Honestly, I think that's the only thing that will hold it back is that and or price, depending, because we don't know how much it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think the price will matter. It just depends on what market fit is they're going to go after, right? So if they decide what market they're going after, it won't really matter. So price, if they say it's going to be at this scale, that means it'll be big businesses like, like the researchers and the 3D modelers. Those are the people that all want to be involved with it. Like a good example is like you brought up the plumber, but another better example is for someone to do things like building modeling. So architecture, architects will want desperate interest in this, especially if they're going to be, sharing prototypes of their building to like huge stakeholders that are selling. I mean, a good example of this is like the Niner Stadium. Had they had someone to do like some real 3D modeling and prototyping, they wouldn't have gone through the issues in the planning process when they put that stadium up. It would have been huge to have someone do a full walkthrough in the stadium.
Probably find more parking.
Exactly. Well, not just that. Well, then they would have had like people from Great America just say, "Hey, look, want to see? Here's the size of like the parking that we have here, or this is what the inside of the stadium looks like when you're actually browsing through, the seats. Here's what your suites look like if you're SAP or if you're Oracle." So that kind of stuff is huge, right? When you're doing things like building stadiums or building huge buildings, and even at a more smaller scale, if you're gonna do things like 3D printing, which is a huge boon right now in that industry, to actually share it in 3D and hold the object in front of you as opposed to just doing it in the camera, it's much more tangible, right? Say, here's what it looks like, and you're holding it using regular, natural gestures, and it would be more powerful. Now, obviously, Sean pointed out that, when you're using things like just clicking, that's going to be a big limitation, right? I mean,
but that's the one thing they just have to overcome. And honestly, the minute they overcome that, I mean, as all the opportunities that we're talking about, for example, if you put this in an artistic industry, as long as the artists and the people who want to use it have a good interaction, and again, you do what they want to do with it, then they're going to score. They're going to win big time.
Again, it's a demo, and the reason why it's probably hard to make that kind of assumption that it's going to be hard or that's going to be a challenge is because they had to create a gesture that was reliable enough that will work live, right? So the easiest gesture is to do the finger thing, right? Because that's something that would be easily recognized by the camera in the 3D space. So anything else trying to do some more complex gesturing, that even Xbox has a hard time doing that. I mean, the current Xbox does. So they wanted to avoid issues like that because the moment that an issue pops up like that, then everyone's just going to write it off. I mean, that's just how it's going to be in the media world. So they try to keep everything as simple as possible. But it's very likely that they're going to improve on it because a lot of you got all this stuff that's out there like Leap and everything that make it reliable. You have OMEC, which we've interviewed personally, that make it easy. So it's just a matter of time, be able, and Microsoft has all of the resources in the world to be able to do stuff like that. So
it's great for them to be able to say things like, NASA has already started using this with their Mars rover project to control the Mars rover and kind of get an idea of what the terrain is going to be for the Mars rover based off the photos that they have, and what path it needs to take to be able to take pictures of the of the guy in the. There's a face in Mars, right? I don't know.
Well, you never know. I mean, a business might come in and say, "Hey, I bought some robotics from Google to manage my warehouse, but I need someone to take a look at it. Here's some HoloLens to put on, so you could just walk through your warehouse to see all the stuff I bought from Google." You know what I mean? And that can happen. So.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. But I just never thought I would see it this year. I mean, it's like, oh wow, we're seeing this now. You know what I mean?
I think they want to get it out this year because it is 2015 and it's a homage to Back to the Future.
They want to get it out this. They want to get it out.
We're waiting for like the board now and the actual flux capacitor to make its way back.
Guys, you know the real reason they want to put it out this year is because every company is doing some kind of head-mounted display, and they're really doing so. And now, you know what? This is the beginning of the wave. And as we have all discovered many times, if you can jump the beginning of the wave and do it right, you might be able to move to the forefront, especially as the wave moves forward very quickly.
Hopefully there's a wave.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Well,
right.
Yes, if there's a wave, but that's why you kind of jump into everything, and then if you get lucky, you get on a good wave, and you get to make some profit on there. So yeah, I don't know. I saw it. I like it. I like the idea of it. I like what they're looking to do with it. I looked at the interaction. I was like, okay, we got a little ways to go, but I like what you're able to do with this thing. So I can't wait to see when they actually release it and what other new ways they can interact with it.
Definitely.
And maybe 3 things or 4 fingers or whatever they can do with it.
Yeah. And before we move on, Sean, this is the face of Mars right there.
What? Hang on. No, dude. If you ever, no, my point.
It's Jason.
It is Jason.
No, my point is, like, you look up scientists and all that stuff, and they talk about what's really causing it's just shadows. They actually have other camera views where they took it from different angles, and it's not there because it's just how the shadowing came out in the picture. So anyway, that's why I was like, really, bro, really.
I believe it's the face.
I
believe it's the face of Mars from Futurama.
That's
there's
awesome.
like a staircase going down.
Well, you know what? Right. Honestly, if I would have done anyway, I've done better if I had just read it. Anyway, what's going on, man?
Let's take a break and thank a sponsor.
All right, hey, real fast. While I'm going to go ahead and talk about our sponsor real quick, and you guys here, debate if you want to do the Apple topic next and then go to Google, or if you want to do the Google topic and next. And while they're debating if we're going to do a lot of Google plus Apple or Apple plus Google, I'm going to go ahead and tell you how you can absolutely enjoy tons and tons of books, audiobooks that is, at your disposal on any device that you have. We're talking about Audible.com. Quite a killer audiobook service, professional read books, and they have all the latest releases. And, you know, I always like to go through their new bestsellers and just to see what things pop up in here. You might find a couple books we might have heard of, like Chris Kyle's American Sniper. From the movie. They actually have that book, and then we have an audiobook here. It actually allows you to listen to it and enjoy it through our busy lifestyles. Other things, 50 Shades of Grey is popping up in here, and The Martian by Andy Weir. So I was like, I'm seeing an extra I in there that's not there. Anyway, but these are some of the newest best-selling books up there, and these are one of the many options that are on Audible.com. Other type of categories, we're talking romance books, history books, kids books, nonfiction, classics, foreign books, comedies, bios, business, self-development, and more. It is quite a great service, read by professionals, and a great way of listening to it through your long, busy commute, and or while you're just around the house trying to get things done. So use this URL, audibletrial.com/lazy. That's the only one you want to use, audibletrial.com/lazy. Check them out. Enjoy it. Get 30 days to check it out. You get a free book. And if you like it, you get a discount on other books. So audibletrial.com/lazy. Use that URL. Check it out. And we'd like to thank them for being a sponsor. All right. So now, Tony, Rat, decided. Are we going to go Apple first, or are we going to go Google first?
Let's get Apple all the way.
All right, cool. All right, we're going to go Apple first. So, Apple Watch. Apple Watch is a big deal for people who, have big pockets. I'm just kidding.
I think it's a big deal.
There's an affordable one.
Saying it the right way.
Anyway, so the Apple Watch has come out. There's been some new information that's coming out surrounding it. So, what do we have? So, battery life and when it's shipping. So, Tony.
Yeah, no, I just closed the link by accident. So, yeah, let's... I got it back, though, because I did Shift-Control-T, and that's a great shortcut for those of you who don't know Chrome shortcuts.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the Apple Watch is still on track to ship in April, so if you were hoping for a Valentine's Day gift, you can do an IOU to your loved one. And so that's good that it's still, pegged to come early 2015. But I think the thing that a lot of people are a little upset / scared about is that it has a reported battery life as short as 2.5 hours. So, according to a report on 9 to 5 Mac, Mark Gurman, who does great investigative reporting when it comes to these sorts of things, was able to talk to someone who said the duration can last between 2.5 to 4 hours, depending on how active the watch is. And the watch should be able to, if the watch just stays on forever, as how forever can be, it can display the clock face for approximately 3 hours, which includes watch ticking. But if nothing else is done, if there's no notifications coming through, it can stay on for about 3 hours. And I don't know.
Okay, wait. Let's get this clear before you freak out and be over concerned here. They're saying 3 hours no matter what. So if you unplug it, 3 hours. It's not like if you turn off the screen face and nothing is active, you don't see anything, it's not idle, and when you boot it, you look at it, and you boot it, it adds 3 seconds. They're talking about literally you unplug it, 3 hours.
No, if the face was kept on for 3 hours.
So what if you just, now when you're using this watch, I'm just assuming, are they assuming that you're going to go tap it, have the screen light up, look at the clock, you tap it, the screen goes away, and then you continue on? Is that what they're assuming?
No. So the test of the battery life for right now regarding how long it can stay on, just staying on. You tap it to light up the screen, and you keep it lit up without touching it. No notifications coming through. You don't do anything to the watch. All you see is for the next 3 hours, the watch ticks between 12 noon all the way to 3 o'clock p.m., and that's all. That's as long as the battery will last. If anything happens between that, like if you were to get a notification or I don't know, look up something else, that's going to pull the battery. Henceforth, the battery life could be as low as 2.5 hours.
So there's no way a person can unplug this from the wall, have it running, and then 10 hours later go to it, do something, and have charge. It sounds like that's what I'm trying to be clear here. I mean, because
if all of your applications, your base applications are running and everything, and you actually use the watch like you're supposed to use the watch, it looks like for right now it's only going to be lasting for about 4 hours maximum. Now
that's just no usage, just typical background usage. You said.
What's typical with the 4 hours is background usage with actual usage, like kind of scrolling through and doing actual tasks.
Taking calls. What about using things like Cortana? Is that something that's spec'd in there? No.
Apple
Siri. If you use Siri through it,
excuse me, Siri.
If you use Siri through it, that's right. The battery life as well too. I mean, at the event when they first announced the watch, they said that it's got 19 hours of active use, 3 days of standby use, and 4 days of if it was left in sleeping mode. But if it's in standby, or sleeping mode, it can only do about 2 to 3 days. And so basically what this is kind of coming down to is that for right now, the promises of how good the battery isn't too good. Now with this being said, when the Moto 360 was announced, they also said that the watch can last all day, but when it was first shipped, it only lasted half a day. And Sean, you and I talked about that, whether that was acceptable or not. And then with the software upgrade, they then fixed it so it really did last over a day. To the likes of you could use this till 3 in the morning or something like that.
All right.
This one, before it even ships, this rumored claim is coming out. It's only lasting maybe a maximum of 4 hours. Now, if we can trust this or not, that's kind of a different story. But if this is true and it does ship with this only 4 hours of active time, that's not good.
Well, okay, but I'm still trying to be very clear here. So Did Apple design a product that you can't use if you want to use it? No, anyway. No. So
Okay.
so no, think about it.
What the hell does that mean?
No, because so I want to be clear. They're saying it'll last 2 days in standby mode, but it only gives you 2 hours or 2 or 3 hours of use. So you're in standby mode. I wake up in the morning. It's in standby mode. I go a whole 4 hours. I can't look at my watch. The minute I start using my watch, the battery starts draining significantly very quickly. And then I stop using my watch. It goes back to standby. Then it goes back to this point where it drains at a much slower rate. Meaning that if I want to use this new product that I just paid X amount of dollars for, it drains so quickly that I won't be able to use it that much. So I'll constantly be plugging it in. Hence why I meant why you use it. You get punished for you. That's what I meant, right?
Right.
So I just want to be clear here. You said 2 days is what their initial claim was. If you're in standby, meaning that it is on, it's connected to your phone, but you're not looking at it.
The initial
3
claim.
days. Okay, it's connected to your phone. It is on. If you click a button, you can look at the time. If you get a notification, if you want, you can have it go to your watch. But it is on. It can go 3 days. I just want to be clear. That's why I want to make sure we're clear on, not 3 hours. You're talking about the minute you activate it and say, all right, let me see what time it is. Let me go see here. Oh, no, what's happening over here? Wow, I got that message. The minute you start doing all that stuff, the battery starts draining very quickly. Is what it sounds like.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that's what.
This is not confirmed, right? These are.
It's not confirmed.
These are still just rumors.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know.
It's funny, you're right.
It's funny. It's scaremongering. It's also me. It's fear-mongering. It's also me being a Google guy. It's like, haha, Apple.
Yeah, well, it's like this. It's like this. I go like this. Okay, cool. My phone watch. Okay, here we go. Click. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. 4 seconds. I got my messages. I saw what time it is. That's not that bad. I think people can get to really...
Apple on a rumor, man. That's funny.
Was that?
Nothing.
It just seems not bad to me. It doesn't seem all that bad. I know, Tony, you're getting on it. It doesn't seem all that bad to me. I think it'll be under control. I think it won't be that bad. So.
I mean, if it was confirmed, that'll be a different.
See, that's the difference.
And even then, if this is confirmed, I just don't think even this is that bad.
If it is.
If this is even this is even that bad.
Wait a minute, Sean. How are you saying it's not bad?
I think that if
the watch doesn't last all day, that was your statement earlier this summer. If it doesn't last all day
in regular use
with use, then that's not acceptable. This will not last half a day.
Well, first of all, both of you guys have to define what does regular use mean. How do you define regular use? I mean, between you guys, what is that? What does that mean?
Hey, I was going back to
checking it once an hour.
Well, checking it once an hour, okay. So it just means tapping it just to see the clock, right?
Exactly.
So that's regular use by definition, at least between you guys, right?
So let's say
the
you
clock
not
and some notifications,
the notifications, right? Or even if I just want to see the sports news, if there's a capable app on it, which we have no idea if that's going to do that, right?
Right.
But,
Siri will.
So what else do we know besides? Okay, but there's going to be iOS on it, right?
Yeah, it's iOS Ski Hill. It's kind of a stripped down version of iOS. And they have the Apple S1 chip, which is more. It's actually about as powerful as the A5 chip, which is why it's such a battery hog.
That's so weird, considering that it's such a smaller screen.
So yeah, I think Rad's kind of going to my entire point of if this is confirmed, which is one big part of it all. That's a big if. I still don't think it's that bad. I know you said I say you needed to go all day, and now we're talking about regular use. So what is regular use? We go back to that question Rad just asked. So if it's literally checking your phone, which literally looks at the clock and look at the time, which only takes 2 seconds, every half an hour you do that, you still have plenty of time. And if the rest of the time it's in standby and it can get to 3 days in standby, I think you can get through a whole day without it charging. Yeah. But if you're heavy using, that's a whole story. I mean, a phone won't last heavy use.
Yeah, the bar is really too high. They just have to make sure they release a proper product.
Bingo.
They just need to make sure. That's all it really comes down to.
I'm fine with it. I don't think it's that bad, Tony.
At the end of the day, if someone were to check an Android Wear watch versus an Apple Watch once an hour on both devices, and the Android Wear watch lasted all day, and the Apple Watch did not, you're still saying that that's acceptable?
Well, go on.
Oh, it just depends, right? Like, if I'm going to go ahead and use whatever watch it is, and I spend 2 hours working out, and I use, like, I don't know, the fitness app to track my movements or whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe use it as the pedometer. And I decide to go home and charge it. I mean, it's unfair to really make that assumption, right, to say, oh, that's acceptable to me. So it just depends on, like, what type of person you are, how you plan to use it, and how much you plan to spend, most of all, right? Because those watches, when I walk into a carrier and I see them, I'm like, holy crap, there's $200, $300 watches, but I don't even know the capabilities of each of them except for the fact that they're going to give me notifications, and I could talk to them like I'm Michael Knight, you know what I mean? But other than that, I really don't know how it's going to be, or I'm trying to figure out how this is going to really blow up, except it's going to be more of another niche market that's going to be sort of accessories and stuff.
Okay.
So
I don't know why, like, for whatever reason, you guys are throwing a veil on. I know, again, this is just a rumor and we don't even know if this is true, but it seems like if you were to go into a shop and ask what's the battery life of this phone versus that phone, that phone only that phone only lasts a day and that phone only lasts half a day. Well, of course you would use the one that lasts the whole day. But
unless it has the word BlackBerry on it, I'm not going to buy it. So it just depends, right? Like what brand you're buying into, what your usage is. So I don't know. Like, I had this debate with a friend at one point. We were talking about it's really interesting, but at the same time, it just depends on the person and their usage.
I think I'm with Rad on this one. I personally do not see the problem with this yet, but only when we get it more in hands-on field than when we start looking at how the battery drains and depending on how it gets used. So I'm personally leaving this one alone. I think it's okay. When this thing gets announced and this thing is really 2 hours charged, and whether it's the minute you turn it on, it becomes 2 hour clock always ticking, and you don't get through 3 hours a day.
That's really short, though.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
That's really short, though.
But if it's just like when you click a notification, you click it and you look at it and that kind of stuff, and they're talking about 2 hours of that, like. I use this in sampling time when we do music. When they say you get an hour of sampling time, but if you click a quick, like a 1 minute kick drum or a snare, that's like a quarter of a second. You can put a crap load of those in there because you have so much time. So that's what I mean by quick splurts of information versus draining a lot of time and doing big things. So anyway, we'll see when more information comes out. But let's get to now Google. Oh yeah, by the way, what did you say? It's a springtime thing supposed to launch again, Tony?
April.
All right, very soon, folks. Very, very soon we'll know. All right, so apparently Google is strong-arming artists into signing with this YouTube music key. What's going on there, bro?
I was kind of hoping you heard about this too.
No, I'm reading about it. I do know a little bit about the fact that when YouTube was going to introduce the music key, there was a couple people who were complaining, saying how Google was trying to incorporate the music key with the Google All Access, and that there are a lot of people who wanted to keep those two things completely separate. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of like one of the people wanting to keep it separate, saying how they're being pushed to go toward it, something like that, right?
Yeah, according to Zoe Keaton, who rock and rollist, who I'm going to look up right now because that sounds awesome. Google was forcing her to sign over the rights to her music for all the streams. Basically, if she doesn't, she'll lose all YouTube's monetary options, monetization options. Her account will be demoted to a third-party account, just like a standard YouTube account, and she won't be given the status of a YouTube musician. Like right now, if you go to YouTube.com, you have a specific area for music, and those people that have signed these agreements would be found in that area of music. But if you don't, your music won't be found in that area, which means people could possibly not find you through the YouTube music key. And yeah, apparently, according to YouTube, All of catalog must be included in both free and premium music services. All songs will be set to monetize, meaning there'll be ads on all of them. You'll be required to release new music on YouTube at the same time you release it anywhere else, which means no more releasing onto like Bandcamp or iTunes first for your exclusive, VIP fans. All catalogs must be high resolution according to standards, which includes 320 kilobits per second, and the contract lasts 5 years. So an up-and-coming user that just wants to get their stuff out maybe doesn't care too much because they just want to get their stuff out everywhere that they can. But obviously, as you get bigger and you know the music business a little bit more, way more than I do, but probably as much as Sean does, this agreement, this contract, seems to be very much one-sided.
Well, this is the exact same thing that we talked about last year. This is exactly the same thing. Everything you read, I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing. So when Google started the Music All Access, this exact same argument came up saying, hey, they're strong-arming me into this. And when you really think about it, it seems like the way Google is looking at it is this way. They're getting crapped on by record labels to make sure all this stuff gets monetized and controlled and everything. So instead of letting music run rampant on their sites, they're trying to keep control of it and they're trying to rein it in. As jacked up as it is, they've started this already and they've done it for a while, and it looks like they're continuing to do so. Now, the thing about the contract for 5 years, good to know. About releasing music at the same time so you don't do the Bandcamp and stuff like that, well, that's good to know. That's just to stop the Taylor Swift stuff, most likely. And overall, when you release your music via distribution, like what do you call it, CD Baby, Mondo Tunes, TuneCore, and all those, they do iTunes, they do Google Play, they do them all at the same time, so it's not even that big of an issue. So
isn't that like bad business on Google's part, though? I mean, there's obvious like reasons for why they're doing it, but but there's also not so obvious reasons, like the whole ability of having to now deal with bad PR, because when you have bad PR like that spreading around, I mean, that article alone was 33,000 views, you know what I mean? And yeah. So when someone goes on, yeah, and if an artist sees that and they share it with 500,000 artists or 5,000 artists, those are people that are now no longer going to convert to being part of the Google quote-unquote label, right?
Well, that has nothing to do with this. I mean, all this means is if they want, all this is affecting is just their YouTube account. Like, as long as they continue to release their music via all the networks that everyone always does anyway, and as long as you're okay with them trying to monetize your video, that essentially you're not going to try to sell the music on the side and try to be a major artist at the same time. Mariah Carey's not going to do a Bandcamp thing on the side without cutting them out of it. It's kind of what's going on here. Yeah, it's bad news and everything as far as that goes, but this isn't new. And they've been doing this for over a year now, and I'm not surprised. I'm like, oh yeah, I vividly remember this. I'm waiting for it to come down and eventually make it down to my level. I'm waiting for that day to happen, and when it does, I'll look at it and say, no problem, monetize my videos. Yes, my music's already on your service. Yes, it's already high quality. No, I won't do it on Bandcamp. Fine, okay. Uh-huh. It's like, all right, fine. It's just like, I think it seemed like when this all started, this is when Google was getting crapped on by the record labels the most. When they were getting crapped on by all the entertainment companies the most, saying, guys, you guys are not, Google is not controlling YouTube. Google is letting too much music get by without getting paid. Too much is getting by without being compensated for it. I mean, they were getting crapped on so bad because of it. So the solution, Music Key. The solution, charge everybody money for it. Now, if you do the Music Key, you get no ads. That's a benefit. Now, if Music Key has no ads, to make value to Music Key, they have to put ads on everything else. Uh-huh. It's
like it's the Vivo effect, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty much because the way that the labels wanted to have control over this stuff, and the way that Google had to follow the DRM and not DRM, the DR. Oh God, what is it? The DSM, DIMCA. Oh God, I cannot remember that word. Anyway,
but we get it.
Yeah, you know that thing, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Because Google had to adhere to that stuff, that's what's causing all this stuff to happen. And once again, the artists, the regular working Joe Schmoes are the folks who are getting screwed in the deal every time. Yeah, that's just what it is. So no, I'm not mad at Google, but at the same time, it's just
That's what they have to do.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe if I don't know, anyway. All right, dude. What else we got going on here? And by the way, I'm not defending Google, saying Google's doing the right thing. I'm just saying that's just what they're doing because of a business practice, and I understand.
I'm also just saying that over, what are some of the less obvious things besides those things, right? So.
All right, Google's MVNO. Looks like they're going to go ahead and work along with Sprint, T-Mobile, or they're doing some more stuff. So, Tony.
Oh, my God. We have heard this rumor ever since I got into Android that Google would get so big that they would have their own wireless service, and then there were rumors that Google was actually testing their own wireless service in Mountain View, and there's a bunch of Googlers walking around with Nexus 6s that are on Google Wireless or whatever. But now it seems that this is getting truer and truer as days go on. It's rumored that they're going to have an MVNO, which is a mobile virtual network operator with the likes of Sprint and T-Mobile. And for those of you that are like, wait, that doesn't make sense because Sprint is a CDMA base and T-Mobile is GSM base. That used to be true, but because of LTE, it's all SIM-based now. And as long as the device is, I guess, like quad band and can be implemented on all those bands, you should be able to kind of swap between the two. So this would mean that, I guess in certain areas your phone might work on Sprint just automatically, in other certain areas it just automatically work in T-Mobile without you having to do something. And also Google is going to be starting their Project Ara, which is their phone blocks, Lego block phone thing in Puerto Rico. And supposedly in Puerto Rico has really good Sprint service over there. So that
do they go around singing "Everything is awesome, everything is cool"? No, they don't sing that when they're walking around playing with their blocks, right?
So when it comes to yeah, we're gonna let you facepalm, Sean. When it comes to this, I'm skeptical, but kind of excited, but wondering why Google would even want to get into this game. Like, it just seems like a big mess that they don't need to deal with. I mean, to a certain degree, it's like, okay, they would have more control over the phones, they would have a little bit more control over the updates to Android. But does this mean that Google would only be providing Android phones? Would they have international plans? How is this all going to work? Obviously, all three companies have declined to comment on this piece of news. But people have been clamoring for, or rather, Deutsche Telekom, the owner of T-Mobile USA, have been looking for buyers, and people are saying that, oh, maybe Google will buy T-Mobile. That's not a good idea either. So, I don't know. I mean, I use Google on a lot of my products and things like that, but I don't necessarily know if I would want them to also be my cell phone provider. But at the same time, they're a fiber provider for a number of thousands of people, and nationwide. And Google Fiber announced today that it is coming to Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, and Raleigh-Durham. And for those of you who think, oh, those places are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, well, first of all, know your geography. They're not really out in the middle of nowhere. Second of all, know your startup geography too, because a lot of startups are in those areas too, tech startups specifically. So that's why. But yeah, going back to this whole Google Wireless thing, what do you guys think? Do you think there's any truth to it? And even if there is, do you think it'll prove to be a winner? I mean, there's so many MVNOs out there that don't get any kind of play. There's Ting Wireless, there's Simply Mobile. Is there just too much, or is Google gonna roll on their name brand and just hope that people will sign up just because it's Google?
I think they'll probably do the same thing what they're doing the insurance route, right?
Which is
which is basically just be the consolidator and let people choose. So that fits more towards Google's like company, persona, right? Because they've always been the type of company that allows people to use information to decide. So if Google takes that approach, I think it's a win. It's a win-win situation, right, across the board. Because then now they just get all the providers. Providers pay a fee to have that, Google traffic, and then they're just gonna say compare rates between these guys. So the all depends now is, they can either the carrier. What I think is going to happen, I'm just making this prediction because we just don't know what the hell's happening. I'm just making this flat-out prediction.
Make it.
That these carriers are probably going to have to decide, whether they want to share actual data over the plans that they're putting out there, including, what those plans involve, right? And you, Tony, being that you've worked in the mobile industry for so freaking long, that is a lot of information, right? Like all the questions that you were asking earlier, those are things that people want to know, right? Especially when there's someone that travels often, which there are millions of them. So Google can be that, hub for those guys again to just say, here's some comparison plans, which in a way a lot of insurance companies do the same thing with these other websites that do, comparison plans in the same way, Expedia does comparisons with all these different, flight providers, right? So I think it's in Google's best interest to jump in something like that. Now, will it work perfectly? Will they probably go into self-service? Probably unlikely, but if they did, I mean, all the stuff that you talked about, it's going to be very messy. I absolutely totally agree with it. I mean, just knowing the inside of how enterprise business works, there's so many little things that can happen. I mean, it's not something you want to like spend your money on. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. But I really do think that there's going to probably be a hub.
Awesome.
Yeah, I always thought, Amazon does it too. Amazon Wireless.
Exactly.
We thought Amazon was going to come out with their own thing, but it was just the hub. It was just the means of finding a great deal on a phone. Sean, you bought a phone from Amazon as well too. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Google went that direction. It would probably be better, as a business sense, and hopefully have some exclusives like, hey, if you buy this Nexus 6 from us versus going to the store, we'll also give you an extra 100 gigabytes of Google Drive storage. Things like that.
Sounds like capitalism.
It's crazy.
Gosh darn capitalism.
That's what it sounds like to me. But you know what? Mobile. I heard there's a new person trying to get into the mobile game, but this is like a Wi-Fi only service.
If it ain't Google, it's going to be a cable company, right? Apparently, CableVision, which is really big on the I don't know about really big, but they're big on the East Coast in regards to, especially in the New York area, Manhattan area. Few thousand subscribers, definitely, and they have created a mobile service called Freewheel, not Will. There's no free will in the United States. The Freewheel, which is entirely based off of Wi-Fi connectivity. Now, if you think that this kind of sounds like Freedom Pop, which originally was a Kickstarter project, it is. Basically, Freewheel has CableVision Wi-Fi nodes, thousands of them, all throughout the East Coast, about 300,000 across the country. And then also with their Wi-Fi hotspot initiative, which like Comcast and Cox and Time Warner also have. Like, so if you go to like a swimming pool that I've been to, I've been to a Starbucks. My dojo has it as well, where if you connect to cable Wi-Fi, you go to a web page, it'll say, oh, which cable provider do you have? You sign in with your cable provider login information, and then you get free Wi-Fi. This would kind of tie into that. So pretty much as long as you have Wi-Fi signal for as low as $9.95 a month for CableVision subscribers, you can get this service. Or if you don't have a CableVision, you can get as low as $30 a month. and they are currently only selling one handset, which is the Moto G, which is actually a pretty good low-end handset for only $99.95. It doesn't look like this is any kind of not contest, contract or anything like that. It seems like this is a prepaid to a certain degree. And obviously this isn't going to help everybody that's out there, but for the low-income family that has internet and wants to have maybe a phone for grandma, and grandma is usually at home or she's at work, or she's always at the bingo parlor and they have Wi-Fi there, this would allow you to at a low cost get internet, or not just internet but also phone service to that user. And they've also been in talks of being able to allow people to download the applicable Android application onto just any Android phone, and it would then verify that you're using this freewheel service, and you'll get free calling and free internet and everything over Wi-Fi with freewheel. The only problem is, as much as they might say Wi-Fi is everywhere, Wi-Fi is not everywhere. So, using this as a means for getting your kid a $10 a month plan with a cell phone, something like that, I get it. I have a 10-year-old. We got him a cell phone. Actually cost me $20 a month. But it's on a cellular network, and that's a lot more reliable than Wi-Fi. If we're just talking about talking or texting, not internet connectivity. And if he were to take a bus from school to the library, on the way from the bus to the school to the library, yeah, there are Wi-Fi handoffs, but there's so much space in between them that you could drop calls any moment. So it'd be interesting to see how many subscribers or new subscribers actually take hold of this and actually use it for a long time. But yeah, we'll see.
Awesome, man. I'm sorry, I'm just reading something here. I'm seeing it. I'm just like, there's no way.
Is it about Dragon's Dogma?
No, it's not. But that's awesome too.
You want to talk about that real quick before we close out?
Real quick, EA will charge for fuel in Need for Speed No Limits mobile.
Oh God. EA will do that.
Yeah, definitely. It was funny. Actually, this is kind of funny.
Do that for mobile.
That's funny. As I'm reading this, I was like, oh, isn't that technically a limit when the thing is called Need for Speed No Limits?
Yeah. There's no limit if you want to give us money.
Somebody changed it. Someone was typing and said Need for Speed Limits.
Lots of limits.
Awesome. No, I just and then for anyone else who was talking, what he's hinting
Need
at.
For gas.
Incredible. Anyway, there's going to be a Dragon's Dogma Online free-to-play game coming out later this year. We know in Japan. We don't know if in America, but they better do it in America. PC, PS4, and PS3. There's going to be a big, I think, article, an 18-page Famitsu article that comes out later on this week. So, hey, next week when I'm just all giddy and just like now you know why.
Free to play. I'd like to see what kind of limits that has.
Man, that's what I worry about. But at the same time, Rad, want to go around the countryside and start taking down Chimera?
Gotta feed the kids first.
Oh, man, come on, man. Well, we can do it for free this time. Anyway, but that's cool. Anyway, all right, so that looks like that does it for our show here. I'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us, all the people for watching live and all that, and we'll be back next week. So let's give you some contact information that way, so if you had any agreements or disagreements with anything that we had said here, feel free to shoot us an email at comments@lazytechguys.com or give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. Now, we are found on all the social networks, including Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. If you look up Lazy Tech Guys, you will find us on all of those. And on YouTube, our channel is Lazy Tech TV. That's the one you want to subscribe to. A lot of video game news and great high-quality, well-done reviews on products are kept there, so you want to subscribe there and keep it going. All right, any last things here, Rad and Tony, you guys want to share with us here before we adjourn the show?
No, that's it.
Brett, how about you?
Warriors, even though we lost.
All right, we're gonna start a road trip. We got to go ahead and win this one here.
Yeah.
I think you're not gonna do a come out and play or something like that.
Come out and play.
Anyway, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with some more tech news and tech information. See you later, and we are out. Have a great time.
Peace.